2024, 3:30 PM Transportation Commission meeting being called to order at 3:47. We have technical difficulties. We understand that people online can hear us, but we cannot hear them. And we don't have anything on our computer screens. But I think we've done this long enough, we can wing it. With that, we'll start with a roll call. Mr. Ballard.
Present.
Mr. Shoemaker. Here. Mr. Lancaster. Do you know if Mr. Lancaster's out there or not? Can you tell?
It does appear he's online.
Does
I
not?
am here.
He
If you
is.
can hear
He
me.
is.
I am present.
Welcome, Mr. Lancaster. Can't hear a word you say. Walter Steed is present. Mr. Hopkins.
Present.
Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
LeClaire.
Present.
And Mr. Song. John Wasson is in the room. And Leila Kloppenstein is in the room. And you can pick up who else in the ex officios is out there that we can't hear.
Yeah, we have Alyssa Taysom, Corporal Trevor Weitzel, Justin Price. That looks like it's it. And just to remind everyone online, if you try to speak, we still cannot hear you. So,
Okay, the first item is the adoption of the agenda. Does staff or anyone on the commission have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, Chair will take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Song. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the approval of the minutes of July the 1st, 2024. Comments, questions, changes? Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve. We had a second by
Ballard.
Mr. Ballard. Motion was by Mr. Lewis. Mr. Hopkins. I can't keep you all straight. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mrs. Hill, the transportation projects update, please.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So transportation project updates begin on page 6. There are no significant updates this month. You'll see that on some of the projects with ACHD, some of the dates have been updated from the draft integrated 5-year work plan. And those have just been bolded in descriptions.
I had my TV, my monitor came on for a moment. Now it's gone off again. It's back.
It's back.
Okay.
Do the people online, can we hear you now? Mr. Lancaster, can you speak to us, please?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
I saw your mute go off, but I can't hear a word out of you.
I'm trying, so it's on your end.
Ryan, can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Sorry
Justin.
about that.
Sweet.
I
We'll have
can
our
hear
own.
you guys.
We'll just have a meeting amongst ourselves.
Sounds good.
All right.
I first that.
Okay, I'm sorry for my distraction. Where'd you leave us, ma'am?
Really that there was no significant updates. So if there are any questions about any of the transportation project updates, I can stand for
So there you
any
go. We can be
questions,
as
but
loud as we
I'll be
want,
kind of
and they
talking
can't
about
hear
some
us.
of the integrated 5-year work plan. I was planning to share it with you, but don't know if that's going to work this afternoon, but I can go over verbally a high level some of the changes. So that's the next item.
Okay, anyone have any questions on the transportation project updates that are in the packet?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Ms. Hill, on page 10, the highway extension, Highway 16 extension, I didn't see if there was any kind of a date when any portion of that would be open. I had understood from a couple of months ago that or where it crosses the interstate or connects at the interstate, that may be put into use in the near future. You have any information on that?
I don't have any information on a date where it'd be open, but I can see if there's anything else. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to see if ITD has any comment but I can follow up after this and see if there's any information
Thank you.
available.
I have questioned as well whether they will open any part of it in stages or not, and I haven't gotten a solid answer on that. I haven't gotten a yes, I hadn't gotten a no. I know they're out there working because I live over there by it, but not yet.
And then if I may ask a second question.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hill, and then on page 11, Eagle Road Safety Review, I was reading through those notes,
Works.
saw a news article that variable speed limits may be put into operation in the near future. I know this was published last week. Anything further come out about when those signs may be going up?
I haven't received any further communication on when those signs may be expected, but I'm hoping that, I can reach out and try to get additional information. ITD did come to council, I guess it was a couple months ago now, and just kind of provided an overview of what that project looks like. And I had shared an update with that, but I haven't received any formal updates. And this was published before that article came out, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, the draft 2025-2029 update. Some of us have monitor screens, and who does and who doesn't? Mr. Lewis,
I don't, that's okay.
Mr. Song, have you got it? Yep. If y'all don't mind snuggling up over there, you can both look at it. If you want to slide over here, Mr. Shoemaker, a little bit.
Any of us have it over
You're better eyes than I've got, I'll tell you that.
It's okay. I'm not going to go over it in great detail. So maybe if you could just see colors, it might be kind of helpful for you from way up there. So do you want me to just go ahead and get started on it? Okay. So we've received the draft 25-29 integrated 5-year work plan from ACHD. I went to council a couple weeks ago and just provided a high-level update summary of the changes in this draft. Overall, I'll just kind of hit on some numbers. 14 of our road and intersection programmed projects were delayed. And so you'll see these on orange in the screen. And so this is just looking at our programmed list. So there was 14 delays. 9 of our projects were deferred and are no longer on the draft integrated 5-year work plan. So they've been removed from programming. Of these, there were several in South Meridian. And so we are working on drafting a letter to ACHD and just reviewing this as part of their public comment period. But it's not all bad news. There are several projects that have remained on schedule. So just to call attention to a few that were delayed that we'll be calling out most likely is the project on Ustick and Black Cat. And a couple more on Amity. So there were some changes. We're trying to sort through that. We haven't received any reasoning at this point of how those choices were made. We just received the draft and are just kind of piecemealing it together and trying to understand the shifts and what that means moving forward. So just want to at least let you know that's out. The public comment period ends August 14th. So if you're interested as citizens or in your capacity to go on and review anything and make any comments, ACHD's website has a map where you can submit public comment and review everything, which may be helpful as well. So just kind of closing the loop since we've talked about this for the past several months. So I wanted to inform you guys. And that's it on just my recap.
Any questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so we heard that we haven't received any information from ACHD yet on why our projects were deferred, delayed, or removed. Do we have a schedule of when we might get that information?
It's a great question. We understand it's just with their budget and trying to, with inflation of construction costs and everything, they're just trying to weigh their budget and priorities. But I don't have an answer to you as to when or if we will receive like justification of why some projects were unprogrammed versus some staying on. And so that's part of our letter that we'll be expressing is like just the transparency of what that looks like. It's just not clear at this point.
Thank you.
I think we heard either last month or month before last that some of the removes were duplicated elsewhere. So it was a list cleaning of some sort. Not all of them, but some of them.
There was a couple community programs that were combined with road and intersection projects, but there were some significant projects that were expected to start design next fiscal year that were removed, like on Amity. So that's just kind of one of our questions. It's like, well, if you remove this, it'll leave a gap. So what does that look like and why? So as I find out more information, I will update the commission.
Anyone else? Thank you, ma'am. Next item under new business is Lost Rapids and Bird Park. And Mr. Watson, I believe, is going to either start that one or finish it or both.
Commission, Mr. President, John Watson, ACHD. We looked at this in late May, and when we evaluated it, it did not come close to having the 20
Let me interrupt you for a moment just to set the stage. This is a 9-month long process that we've been working through ever since some citizen or citizens brought up questions of speeding on Lost Rapids, and secondly, about needing or wanting a pedestrian crosswalk at Bird Park on Lost Rapids. And if I remember correctly, ACHD went through speed studies and found that no change was required. MPD did some work out there and pretty much came to the same conclusion, if I remember correctly. And now this is going to, we think, finish it up talking about the crosswalk. So excuse me, but go ahead.
No problem, Mr. Chair. It'll finish it up until the next person asks for it. But we looked at it, and typically we look for 20 pedestrians in the peak hour that we evaluate, in the hour. And this was done when school was still in session, and we did not see the 20 that we were looking for. And as a matter of fact, there were more than adequate gaps in traffic to allow pedestrians to be able to cross the road without a marked crosswalk. And so based on that, we determined that we would not plan on striping a crosswalk.
Questions, comments from the commissioners? Personally, I am not unhappy with that. I'm afraid that some people believe that a marked crosswalk is a force field and you're protected once you go out into it, and maybe being obviously dangerous is a better thing, just personal opinion. Okay. Ms. Hill, I think we can put a line through that one until the next time it comes up.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just a comment. Roads are inanimate objects and are neither dangerous nor are they safe. It is the actions of the sentient beings utilizing those roads that make decisions that may be good or poor.
Is that going to be the preface to your book you're going to write when you retire?
Not a chance.
Okay, moving on. Next item is the September off-site meeting. Ms. Hill.
Great, thank you. So many of you hopefully have received information about the offsite. I've been working with Sergeant Smith. We've decided to do it with police for a crash reconstruction scene. And so she's offered up to kind of spearhead that. So we would go to the police department, kind of have a presentation. They'd set up a mock crash scene. We're kind of still working on the logistics of it. I guess it was a program that had been around in years prior, but then was kind of put on pause. So they're bringing it back. So we thought that would be a great opportunity to kind of go over there and do that. So Thursday, September 19th is the date we're looking at. I need to narrow down timeframes to schedule with police and just the other staff on her team. We were looking towards earlier in the day and midday to try to avoid the just like evening rush hour for them. So I have a list. We don't need to do this now and go through it. But I need to kind of chat with most of you about your availability so I can get something scheduled, because currently she's kind of holding everything for the whole day and we need to narrow that window down. But it's looking like so far it's going to be earlier to midday and probably just meeting there. So I just wanted to, since I have most all of you present, to just coordinate with me, please, today.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ballard.
Ms. Hill, that's for September 19th.
Yeah, in place of our regularly scheduled meeting.
We need to nail down the time. The PD, as she said, would really rather we not do it at our 3:30 time, because that's when their phone call volume starts to pick up that time of the afternoon. So they'd rather do it earlier in the day.
Oh. You talking morning, mid-morning, late morning? What?
Potentially all of them. I think that's where we're still trying to figure that out. So I'm just trying to get, are you going to go? Are you even around that day? And then I'll work with them to find out the best time.
Now ask the PD what time would they prefer, and then we can put it out and see what kind of.
It's open. I just am trying to get a head count of how many individuals are going to be around that day to start with, because I haven't received emails from several individuals still. So.
Okay.
I hear they're gonna let us practice pit maneuvers.
That would be cool.
You need to use your mic.
So, Ms. Hill, are we talking an hour, 2 hours?
Most likely 2.
All right.
2 to 3. 3 seems like it'd be stretching it. But I know in the years prior, like lunch was provided, transportation. So those are the logistics that make it a little bit more complicated for me to figure out availability.
So I'm just thinking out loud when you're talking about their availability and, traffic. I'm assuming 9 o'clock may be a little too soon because they're still maybe dealing with the early morning traffic.
Yeah, they haven't given me exact time windows. They're flexible as well. I'm flexible. This is just me reminding you at this point to just let me know if you're even going to be around, because most likely I'll just work with them and give you guys a time window based off of your availability.
The 19th is acceptable unless the judge tells me I need to be somewhere else.
Okay, great.
I'm available anytime the 19th.
Yeah, I knew you were responded, so.
Anyone else can comment at the moment?
I'm available anytime.
Okay,
I think I replied.
you did.
So
Yeah.
morning till noon. Well, even be as late as 1. It sounds like 10 or 11 sounds best.
I'm available for lunch, Mr. Chairman.
Done that before.
Mr. Shoemaker? Okay.
Mr. Song will be down at Stanford, missing us, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, this is my last official meeting, so I will miss you guys when you guys go on that field trip for sure. I'll be there in spirit, though.
Good.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, Jared and Ryan, I won't be able to hear you, but if you guys could please follow up with me following this meeting and let me know if you'd be available, and if sometime early morning, like we've discussed, would work for you, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, ex officio updates are going to be brief today. Ms. Kloffenstein is sitting over there lonely, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to have the floor.
Testing? Okay, perfect. It's working. Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, just one update for you all. Compass holds Leadership in Motion Awards every year, and the nominations are open from now until September 27th. You can submit nominations in 3 categories: projects, individuals, and businesses. So if someone in the Meridian community or someone on the Transportation Commission has done something exceptional in terms of leadership in any of those categories, please consider submitting a nomination. Those awards are presented at our December board holiday luncheon. Typically, it's held at the Nampa Civic Center, just FYI. But yeah, encourage you to send nominations in, and both public and private. So we're really open. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wasson, anything else other than that's not going to come up in staff communications? I know there's one item in there we're going to talk about, but anything else we don't know about that we should?
Well, there's probably 3 items, Mr. Chair, in staff communication, and I'll let them come up as they do.
Okay. All right. Speaking of staff communications, we're up to staff communications, Ms. Hill.
All right. So, staff communications start on page 15 of your packet. The first item you'll see is an email the mayor's office received about an intersection of Chinden and 10 Mile near Rock Harbor Church. So this email is expressing traffic complaints. They provide a photo. So that's the first one. I don't know if you want me to stop there and pull up the map so we can look at that.
If you would.
Okay.
And Mr. Wasson, is this one of your 3?
It is.
Okay.
That it is, sir.
Okay, one moment and we will hear from you. Let's see, back out a little bit so that they can see Black Cat on the left and then 10 Mile on the right. Other way.
I have a question. This photo is not 10 Mile and Chinden. That's what's that? Tree Farm and Chinden. I guess I'm confused on the email for one.
I reached out to the lady to clarify, and I have the answer.
Okay.
But you're correct. It was a little confusing. If you would, Ms. Hill, slide it a little to the west to put Black Cat over in the left, other way. Okay. I was looking for, yeah, there's Linder, 10 Mile, Black Cat, and the Rock Harbor Church. And the photograph in your packet was the question I had, because I drove around Rock Harbor Church a lot and couldn't figure out where the photograph was taken from. It was taken on Tree Farm looking south, right above the first intersection above Chinden. There's a street that goes to the west called Tree Haven. And that is the picture of line of cars to the right in your picture, if that helps. The picture's facing south toward Chinden with Tree Haven off to the right. Mr. Wasson.
Mr. Chair, John Wasson, ACHD. This is a difficult one because this neighborhood encompasses a mega church. Probably not as big as Joel Osmond's, but it's a big church. And previously they were using flaggers on 10 Mile and Chinden. And I told them that they had to cease that. They could not use flaggers without a license agreement, which as of yesterday, or as of Friday, to the best of my knowledge, they had not yet applied for. So they're not allowed to use flaggers to direct traffic anywhere off of their property. Certainly on their property they can. I can't do anything about the volume of traffic on this street. The only thing that would provide a relief would be if ITD retroactively allowed them a access onto Chinden Boulevard from the middle of their parking lot. I'm going to be trying to meet with the church staff to see what we can do. Apparently, there's a lot of parking on the neighborhood streets, and the neighborhood is considering requesting a petition to restrict parking on Saturday and Sunday for certain hours so that those church people can't park on their streets and they have to use the parking lot. That is something that we would evaluate. I don't know how favorably it would be considered at management level, because that's exactly where I'm going to punt this up to. It's going to go up to management. I'm not making that call. But this church has a lot of folks going to it. We have gotten them to not park in the bicycle lanes, which is a little victory. But as you can see, lots of cars. I know that she is blaming all of it on the church. It's a big neighborhood and there are only so many access points in and out, and where they're going to is the popular one.
And it's popular not just on Sundays. I drive by it during the weekday and see a large number of cars. And her photo, she says, was taken at 1:11 p.m. So it would appear to me that a Bible class or a luncheon or something let out at 1 o'clock. And
very possibly, sir. Churches do more than have people go and pray in them.
They have 2 parking lot exits on Tree Haven, and it appears one up toward to the north on Tree Crest. They are currently constructing on the dirt lot in this picture to the immediate west of the church itself. I don't know what that building is or how many more people that's going to draw, but it's under construction at this point. And then all of that dirt area where the cursor is now pretty much filled in with housing and apartments. So it is crowded. I had asked Mr. Price with ITD if he could look at this before the meeting today, and if he could he speak to it? The fact that we can't hear him, that ain't gonna happen. So Mr. Watson, can we ask you to collaborate with ITD regarding the question and possible solutions? The lady in the email says that there was at some point a right out only from the church on to Chinden. I don't doubt it, but I don't remember it. And I don't know if that would be a retroactive possibility. I would be surprised if ITD allowed a full intersection or a three-way intersection coming out of that lot, but maybe a right out only. I just don't know and not going to recommend anything. But if you would do that, I'd appreciate it. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, before this meeting, I did get some comments from Bill Parsons, the current planning manager, just very high level without having a lot of time to look into it. I think back in 2017, they did submit a variance with their application to have an access to the highway. But as I understand it, they didn't pursue the permit with ITD to get that access. And it doesn't sound like they're moving forward with it or there's an option to go back. So that's very high level detail of a little bit that I know, but it's something to at least maybe explore as we're going through this, just what that history was.
Traffic coming south on Tree Farm has the right of way when they have a green light at Chinden. I don't remember, or I don't see in the picture a don't block the intersection painted block at Tree Haven. But my guess is that people are being nice and letting cars cycle out of Tree Haven, which means that the cars that are further north in the line are waiting longer than they think they should. So people in Meridian are extremely courteous like that. If you wouldn't mind, sir, see what you and ITD can put your heads together with, and we'll put you on the October agenda if that's okay for a further comment.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ballard.
2026 is a state highway.
Correct.
Lessons learned from Eagle Road are lessons that are going to be confronted on 2026. They're state highways. And I'm looking at this and I go, is there a solution? Not unless you redesign subdivisions. Not unless you want to put a frontage road there. Because, I'm thinking about this. Okay, is there a solution? And I really struggle with that. And I go, is there a solution? Do you tell that, I mean, you can look at a lot of different things.
Well, the good news is their addition apparently has adequate parking for the addition to be approved by the city. And the lot will only hold so many cars. It's going to push them out into the neighborhood. But at some point, it's going to be as many people as that church can handle, and the traffic's going to be what it is.
Well, and if I heard you right, there's more homes being built in that immediate area. And, to say, okay, if more people walked, if more people rode bicycles, if more people took a bus, because those are solutions to take cars off a highway. I'm not being facetious. But those solutions don't present themselves here. And church isn't going to hold their services in the middle of the night when nobody's there. I've made the comment before, highways are only used 50% of the time. Streets are only used 50% of the time. 12 hours out of the day, there's nobody that goes by my house. The other 12 hours a day, there's a lot of cars. So I really, I look at John and I go, John, you got a tough job because I can't see a solution.
Let's see what ACHD and ITD bring back to us. Okay. Next item is an email from the licensing manager of the Administrative Services Bureau. I believe that's known as DMV in some circles. And they have a T intersection with a single stop sign, and he is very concerned about cars moving out onto Corporate Drive. And Mr. Watson, I would hazard a guess, this is your number 2 for this section.
Mr. Chair, it is. And I haven't had an opportunity to look at it. This is the first I've heard. And so I'm going to say we'll take a look at it and get back with you in October.
Would appreciate that. I, in my non-educated, non-professional self, went over there and spent 15 minutes looking at it from the parking lot right across from it. I didn't see anybody run a stop sign. That wasn't the man's complaint, but I didn't see any full-blown stop sign running. I saw a few California stops, as you call them. And I didn't see any close calls or anything, but again, that was 3 to 3:15 on a weekday afternoon.
Mr. Chair.
Different times make for different things.
Looking at this, and I've been down there a lot. Looking back to the west is not an issue. It's looking back to the east. And if you pull out a little bit, you're able to see. But if we make this an all-way stop, I dare say compliance is going to be really tough.
Wouldn't doubt it.
But we will take a look at it, sir.
Would appreciate it. We'll put it on the October agenda.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Another thought occurred to me. So when Mr. Car Wash submitted their plans, this neighborhood was extensively studied, the least of which was Mr. Wasson's department. Because P and Z, that application, what do they have 20, 30, 40 check boxes of different agencies that weigh in on this. You know, they studied this, they studied that. They looked at this angle, they looked at that angle. Occasionally something comes up that is out of the blue. But I'm looking at this and I said, you know, when they put this plan together, they figured out most of these angles, if not all of them. So there again, is there a solution? We're not the tail that wags the dog, but it went through those different agencies and now it comes to us and I'm going, well, this is interesting. This is great. Maybe we see something. But what am I going to see that 40 other people didn't see?
Well, there's
Come back and
there's also the question of, is there really a problem? We don't have any comment from the PD about accidents at that corner. I don't know if the car wash is any more of a problem than somebody putting a jack-in-the-box on that corner or something else. As Mr. Wasson says, there is visibility. The stop line behind the ped crossing that you can see on the visual is back. You have to inch forward before you totally put your nose out there. And like a lot of other intersections in the world.
well, in particular, there's a lot just down the street here where you have to pull in the traffic before you can see.
My point.
So, in any event, a lot of people looked at this, so if there's a solution out there, it can be discussed. Let's have that conversation.
Okay. The next item in staff communications, and I am preempting Ms. Hill a little bit here. She's going to tell me to stop. She's got more to say if I'd quit. But it's an item we've had on our agenda for a couple of months, maybe. It's down in the Baraya subdivision. It is, again, a three-way intersection. And I'm going to hazard a guess that this is number 3 on Mr. Wasson's list for today.
Yes, sir. So Joey Heath has been working with Chelsea.
Recap it for us, what the original comment was, if you would, please.
The original comment is people are going way too fast. She doesn't like where the stop signs are oriented. She wants them reversed. She wants traffic calming. She wants always stops on all of the intersections in her neighborhood. And she hasn't said it, but she has said it. She would like the speed limit lowered.
Have you found it yet? I don't see it. I'm looking here.
She didn't put that in the letter, sir.
I know that. I'm looking at the aerial.
Is this the right one?
Slide up and let me see Franklin, and then I can find it. Okay. It's over on the west side to the left. And there's South Briar Way coming in off of Franklin, off to the left side of the screen. There you go. And it's the one, is it Balanced Rock or is it Sunset Arch? Balanced Rock. Yeah. And the stop sign, Mr. Wasson, remind me, is?
The stop sign that she wants reversed is over on the east side. It's the Snow Canyon one. You'll have to pan east. So it's Snow Canyon and I'm not sure if it's Echo or Iceberg, but she wants it reversed. We've done a lot of work out there, and at this point, we are holding on the work because it meets the criteria for traffic calming. And before we do more work, we're going to give her the opportunity to convince her friends and neighbors that they need traffic calming out there. And then we'll take care of the other issues.
And you have a process for traffic calming, I understand.
We do have a process, sir.
The original notes had to do with Baraya and West Balance Rock Drive is what they would, is the one that they're talking about. So, and PD has been out there and watched and looked, and you've, in your packet, you got an email from the sergeant that talks about it.
Mr. Chair, this request has suffered significant mission spread.
It's what we do.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, Mr. Ballard wants to know if there's a solution. I can tell you that before he says it.
Mr. Steed, I have a solution for every one of these intersections. Roundabout. Well, no, I mean, I'm encountering, I traveled yesterday over in Washington and coming off of I-90 onto the access roads. There are more and more roundabouts just on those roads. So I'm thinking, okay, that meters traffic to some fashion and some stop and some go. But you know, the trade-off there is you chew up 4 or 5 lots.
Just as a bit of a funny aside, we were asked to evaluate Horse Loop Circle for speed humps because people are going 40 and 50 miles an hour in there, and there was a child killed. And they are right. There was a child killed in Horse Loop Circle a decade ago. Unfortunately, he popped out of some vegetation that the neighborhood hadn't trimmed on the pathway and was struck by a car driven by about a 73-year-old lady doing 18 miles an hour. And he did not survive the incident. But we did a speed study, and I want to say the average speed in the circle was 19 miles an hour, and the 85th was 27. And that's in the flat area where you can actually pick up a little bit of speed in there. This is a very large circle. But yes, we get all kinds where you want to put speed humps in a traffic circle. Or always stops.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Steed?
Yes, sir.
Can also relate another story when I asked a driver that he might want to slow down going through my neighborhood. We then had a conversation about that comment. Not a pleasant one. So FYI, when you ask your neighbors to slow down, be diplomatic.
Be lawyerly.
No, I was extremely diplomatic.
Anyone else on this one? To be continued at a time yet to be determined? Okay, we will put it over in future, if you would please, ma'am. And when Mr. Watson says he's ready to provide us more information, if not a solution, we'll put it back on the agenda.
Mr. Chair, before we conclude, and to answer Mr. Ballard's question, Justin sent me an email about the variable speeds on Eagle Road. ITD will be holding an open house on the 28th and 29th of August to just talk about the Eagle Road Safety Project. So I can try to see if there's some information and distribute that out to the commission via email. So he heard us and sent me an email, so.
Okay, no, great. Yeah, send that out to us so we can attend should we so desire.
Mr. Chair.
That concludes staff communications, I believe.
That does.
Okay. You see the future meeting topics that are on there. We will get to those as we can, as we get more information. As Mr. Song mentioned a moment ago, this is his last meeting with us. And someone has created a certificate of appreciation suitable for framing for you to take to Stanford with you. And if you'll step over here, I'll be happy to give it to you.
So much.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. We've enjoyed having you. You've been good input.
Thank you. It's really been a pleasure of a life. Really has. One of the
Okay.
best things I've ever.
Good.
I definitely appreciate this. Thank you.
Well, you hadn't seen anything yet because we're going to adjourn into the back council conference room for tea and cookies. So in your honor.
Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. He set a rather high bar, so can he be replaced with the next candidate?
There are applications being received. I don't know if they're to the point of interviews being taken yet, but they are working on our next young person.
I say that complimentary.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
another future meeting topic is we will be updating our bylaws once the new advisory commission's ordinance goes through, which I think is still being worked on. So we'll have some kind of subcommittee meeting with Ms. Kane or Trish, whoever, and we'll have a report to you hopefully in October, I hope. But we'll see, maybe in November. But look, it's just something that's coming. Thank you.
Yeah, I inquired on Ms. Kane's status on our bylaw change, and the answer, as I remember it, was she's working hard on all of the bylaw changes and nothing to report again yet. Okay.
I can add it as a placeholder. I haven't lost track of that. I've just been waiting, but we can include it if we want.
You want to meet as a subcommittee prior to her finalizing her recommendation to council. Is that what you're saying? Can you work with Ms. Hill regarding, and she can work with Ms. Kane regarding coordinating all that?
Yeah, I'll work with Emily to figure that out and to see what involvement in like what capacity we have to really go through those. Because I think they're trying to generalize some of the bylaws with the code. So we'll hold another special subcommittee meeting and work through that.
Yeah. Well, part of what she's doing, as I remember it, is she's trying to make all the commission committee bylaws relatively the same, with the exceptions that are needed because of that particular committee. Apparently, over the years, they've grown quite far apart in terms of the verbiage and the way they're done, and she's trying to pull them all together into some coherent group.
Yeah, and I did meet with Emily after the subcommittee met and shared the questions that we had, showed her our marked up comments. And she said that a lot of these questions that we have might be answered once she works through the whole process. So it's still in progress and more to come. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anything from anyone else? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn to the back room.
So moved.
Mr. Song, second.
Second.
Mr. Hopkins, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's the official act.
Yes, make sure he gets in the minutes. Thank you all.
Thank you.